anywhere in Karnes County. And I was born and raised here, still live here, but it's a bad investment. It's getting to be a bad investment, and I'm just telling the people, let's just go somewhere else. We're doing subdivisions in southern Bexar County. We're looking at land in Stockville. There's too much. I mean, my guys still own property here, but they're not looking at expanding anything. They're looking at getting out. I mean, it's sad that, and I understand we have to do deed restrictions. We have to enforce them. But if you get these restrictions and these procedures where they're cost prohibitive, the people are going to put up RV parks in Stockville or wherever. They're going to be cheaper, and that's where those guys are going to stay. They're not going to eat in our restaurants. They're not going to buy our gas. They're going to go to Stockville, Pleasanton, Fall City, wherever. And if these restrictions don't compete with the surrounding towns, if we don't compete with surrounding towns, we're going to wither on the vine with this oil field. And that's what this whole thing is about, is the oil field. That's the reason all these RV parks are going. Jeff and Stockman Motel were the only two in town that I know of until this oil field thing hit. And that's the whole reason we're here, and those guys get $80 a day sometimes per diem. We're opening up 19 slots, so that's $2,300 a day roughly, I think. And well, if there was 30 people staying in those in 19 slots, there might be 30 people in those trailers. It's $2,400 a day that could be spent in this town. If we have an 8% tax rate, that's $170, $180 a day coming in taxes off that one spot, off that one RV park. And if those things start getting built in Stockville, or if they start getting built out of the ETJ further south of this town, we're just missing the boat. We're just shooting ourselves. I mean, what's the point in having a pretty town if nobody shows up? I mean, it doesn't, restricting ourselves out of business. I understand we need them, I want them, but I don't want something that can't compete.
So you think this can't compete?
I don't think it can compete with Stockville or Pleasanton or anywhere else. Our town as a whole doesn't compete. Look at where these oil fields.
How much of this would you have to change if you were to update a lot of it?
Probably have to peel it all out because I'm probably not going to hit the 18.
Well, as far as the width,
I've been there for 8 or 9 years.
Other than the width of the lot, how much more would you have to change?
The road.
If I got to put water main in?
The hydrant, the water main. I just put $20,000 to put a sewer main in. That if I'd have known this 2 weeks ago, I could have put over 10 more feet. I wouldn't have to rip it up. And that fills me with the widths and stuff because you're talking about a 24-foot road. But I was trying to make it more practical. Was a one-way road that went all the way around, which would make more common sense so you don't have all that backing in traffic and you get people way off the highway back in there. I took a piece of property, if you look, that was behind in 2003, the old Angelica's restaurant. Look at what it looks like right there. That's what my property looked like in 2003. And look what it looks like today. You're looking at a beautification process that this is my hometown and I want to reinvest in my hometown, but this stuff like this, making it hard. You don't want to reinvest in your hometown. I'd rather do it on the south side of San Antonio or something like that. But take a look at behind the party store and take a look at what my property looks like now. I can show you before and after pictures, and it's night and day. I did everything I could to work with the city to widen the creek for the homeowners that live downstream and Northcrest subdivision so they could build those extra lots on the bottom. We took spot, we worked with the FEDC on that so they could try to develop their land on the highway and the Highview property, and not a cent taken from the city, all paid out of my own pocket. Never once have asked for anything from the city, besides, with the ordinances lately. Never once asked for a cent, and paid for my own leveling up through Prospective or other land services in the past. So just thought that I thought, you could do something with it, but when I started researching, they changed, and it wasn't y'all's fault that the FEMA came in and changed all the flood maps. So I was in a floodway now. Okay, I went from being a 100 flood zone to a floodway, and the floodway said you can't put a structure. So I called them. They said, well, you can put an RV park as long as it's at baseline BFE, minor holes and whatever don't obstruct the flow of water. You can come in and do that. So that's when I said, well, I might as well apply and do the RV park. If I don't do it, then I'm stuck with 4 acres of land that I can't build a structure on. And with these ordinances, if I wouldn't have got it in on the 15th, I wouldn't even be able to put an RV park in.
we didn't want to do that, you know what I mean? We're trying to better our town, and yes, we want businesses, and I understand, you know, there was a swarm of people coming into the Karn City Kennedy area, because that's where the oil is. So they moved in there, they're running out of space, and they're coming in here. We welcome them, but we've got rules and regulations, because we want to protect the citizens that have been here all their lives, and we want to expand and grow our town in a positive way, which is, you know, what you've done. Ben has a perfect example of that with the snowbirds. And our sole purpose is, how are we going to survive after the oil? We want to make sure that our town is intact, and that the RVs that you have can sustain the winter Texans if you get that business going. And I disagree with you on, hold on, I disagree with you on no other businesses coming in, because they are. Our industrial park is out in that area, and we've got businesses coming in. We've got, with a new Walmart that just opened today, we've got big development coming in this area. So we're doing that. We're growing our town, you know, in a way that it's going to sustain the oil now and after the oil is gone. So.
But we're not competing with Pleasanton and Jourdanton and places like that. Look at Pleasanton and Jourdanton.
If I can.
They're 30 years ahead of us.
If I can. But it's just exactly what they're happening over there, if they're doing the same thing with Kennedy. They've been planned, and they know they should have been ahead of this. They wish they was already where we are. We're competing with them. There are new businesses. They have closed it off down in Karn City and all. And your boss, one of your developers, that told me himself that he agreed with everything in here, the price structure and all. To the point, he said, he never intended to keep it anyway. He never intended to expand it. So what you're saying is a moot point. It's not correct.
But
it's not correct.
have y'all looked at what they're developing in those other towns?
We
have
do.
y'all taken
But
what they're developing what I'm concerned about is what's being done. Will it compete with Karnes County in what they're doing?
When they get to the
Will it compete with Atascosa County?
When they get up to speed.
But we don't know what they're going to do.
They stopped them right now in Karn City. What they're going to do, we don't know.
Polk has done the same thing.
Oh, did they say they're completely stopped. They're not being middle of the road. Like I told you to start with. We came middle of the road, and you're going to shoot it from the bottom, and you're going to shoot it from the top. And we're not in a win situation. We got to start somewhere. Even as Ray said, this is very workable.
Is there a way that maybe the ordinance could read, if we expand it anyway, then it's up to code, not having to go in and, like you said, you asked the question, instead of having to rip out all the sewer, rip out all
That's the same thing, Ben, if I explain to others with the businesses and buildings in town and all. They need to come into it.
So, but
As far as floodplain, well, I've been involved in a lot of the ones on the San Antonio River where they're trying to buy out people, get people out of the floodplain. San Antonio prohibits this stuff. They don't want anything in the floodplain. And we're basically following their same thing. I mean, for you to get in here, that's great. I know you'll take care of it. But I'm telling you, most other cities that we looked at prohibit any kind of construction in it because it's dangerous.
well, Lou raised my point with the running of the land. I mean, that it goes with the land, so.
I'm just concerned that we have to compete with other towns, and I want y'all to make sure that this competes. That's the main thing. As long as it competes, then who can